beginning to look like it's going to develop into a 3D shape. So this is just one piece positioned on top of the like the master circle, and the way I'm going to make sure that it's standing perpendicular is by putting my square up to the line down there, and then making sure that it's touching. So there's like about a millimeter gap. So what I'll do is I'll just I'll use some magnets. I'll pull it into position so it's touching up there, and I'll use some magnets down here whilst I do like little light tack welds, and before like sort of fully welding. So I just want to make sure that it's all tack weld, so it's nice and perpendicular. Of course, it's sod's law, my phone runs out of space as soon as I start doing something interesting. Anyway, I persisted, and I have now welded this top piece on. In truth, I haven't really figured, I've not thought ahead yet how I'm going to weld the other piece on. How to keep it all level, I think I have an idea though. So clamping to the bench there and marking my centre line, what I reckon I can do is something like, these are pieces of 25mm tube. If I measure across, I start that at 100mm. Yeah, that's bang on 800. So yeah, the outside diameter is 700. So what I could do is put my square on. So 450 would be the middle, and I have to minus off 12.5mm, so 450 minus 12.5, 375. So in theory, if I put that there and then put this on, I need to clamp this down to stop it from moving. But anyway, so that's the theory. If I clamp this down to stop the ruler from moving, get it on there, then I know that that's back to straight. Otherwise, without all this, this could easily just rock off centre. I'll tack weld it here and then see if I can hit it to bend it back round. I'd like to put magnets on the other side, but I can't because see the clamps. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Pause there, methinks. Well, after wrestling with it for a little bit, I got it to work. So, I'm going to zap some more dots of spot weld. It's looking good. That was a convenient place to pause, because what you can see is on this side, as in like this one coming up here, is a weld that has been completely done. So what I did was when that was placed on top, I did all my tack welds around the area, and then I fully welded in the sides. So there's a full weld up there, and there's a full weld over here. And then what I did is, with the tack welds that were on it, like similar to here, is I ground them back, and then I ground a deep sort of V into the base of this bar and the top of this crossbar, and then welded, so there's a good penetration of weld down into that seam line across here, and then I ground it back so that it's sort of like an invisible transition, seamless transition. So that's what I'm going to do here. So as you can see, those tack welds are still on there. I think I've done one seam weld. It's a bit dark. Done one seam weld there. Haven't done the other one on the other side yet. So what I'll do is most likely first of all do that seam weld, then grind these off, deep V into there, and also on the underside as well. So looking, oh, it's a bit hard to hold this thing, it wants to rock around quite a bit. On the other side I've done the same. I thought I'd just go into that a little bit, because till now, like, these videos have pretty just much been about ring rolling and not actually about any sort of fabrication. But obviously as this shape develops, it's going to become more fabrication stuff. Something that I haven't yet given any airtime to, even though I've used it several times in the process of making the hoops, is this vise, which swivels. It's very handy. It has one set of flat faces and then this sort of curved side, which I guess is for holding pipe. So the idea being, you swivel it to whatever desired position, and then lock it off to prevent it from rotating. So if I just do that, so it's actually set on top of a flat table, which had, I believe, came off a some kind of like big, like really big drill, or piece of like lathe or something. But I've turned it into like a jig table. So what I tend to do is, if I'm doing like scrolls or something, is I weld little pegs that slot into these holes, so it like holds the jig flat on the table. Obviously there's a load of mess on it at the minute. This vise is something that it unbolts from it, and it's something that I've often cursed, because, you know, it gets in the way when I'm using this table as a jig table. But I've hung on to this vise, even though I don't use it very much, sort of thinking, like, it's going to come in use one day, it's going to come in use one day. And thankfully during this job it's sort of really finally becoming useful, because obviously this thing is now starting to get quite heavy, and lifting it up into a typical vise is, you know, becoming a struggle. But what I can do with this is just lift it up into here, lock it in there, rest it on there, and then that's going to allow me to sort of grind off these spot welds, V into there, and on the bottom as well. So yeah, I'll show that. This isn't a 1mm disc, this is a 3mm disc. So hopefully what is apparent from here then, sorry, give me 2 seconds, it's absolutely bitterly freezing and the steel is so cold that I'm putting gloves on because I can't touch it with bare hands, it's so cold, is that's now got a deep V running into it, so it's a good weld penetration. And what I was just saying about that not being a 1mm disc, because obviously it's very dangerous to grind with a 1mm disc. That's probably a slightly clearer image, isn't it? So you can see that's really gone down below the surface. So that weld this way, get deeply seated into there and then ground back flush. So that results in this. So that's now top and bottom on both sides done, and then so yeah, you get the small, oh, it's quite difficult to get the brightness right for this, these small seams in here. I need to knock off a little bit of weld spatter in these seams, but it's looking nice. With the welding of the inner hoops done, this now ties in with the next set of hoops, the equator, tropics and poles, because I can mark out on these where I want them to go. So what I've just done is this one and this one, so that. So now it's going to be marking out tropic, pole, tropic, equator, tropic, and pole. Obviously, the equator is going to go perpendicular to there, so, and it's just going to be centered across the height. So it's 700mm OD, so 350 center lines. These are going to be 25mm width, so I've got to get the centers and then measure out 12.5 each. So that will give me my positions for that. Working out these ones is going to be a tad more tricky, and I suppose what I need to do is look back at this carefully and figure out how I decided on the spacings. and then mark it up